Good day, grade 9 science students. Today what we're doing is we're going to learn how to identify gases, specifically hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. You want to take a quick note on this, but this is going to be a very short video. Do you recall the 5 signs of a chemical change? Well, if you remember, one of them, well, let's go through all of them. The first is color change, heat or light being produced, precipitate, gas being produced, and the last one is irreversible. And we're going to focus on how we know what kind of gas is being produced. Now again, we have 3 tests. The first one for hydrogen, which we'll talk about now, is you take a burning splint into a test tube of gas, and if there is a pop, you have hydrogen gas. So let's take a look at a quick video. So here we have a chemist from YouTube, Mr. Williams. He's added 2 chemicals together. He's producing a gas. He doesn't know what the gas is, so he takes a flaming splint, which is a flaming piece of wood, puts it inside the test tube, and he hears a big pop sound, and that's how he knows he's produced hydrogen. The next test I'm going to show you is for carbon dioxide. Now, the chemical formula for carbon dioxide is CO2. A positive test, if you want to see if you form carbon dioxide, if you take a burning splint and you put it into a test tube full of the gas carbon dioxide, the flame will go out. So let's take a look at a video of that. Alright, let's take a look here. This YouTuber has taken baking soda and he's going to combine it with vinegar. Baking soda and vinegar. Baking soda is actually something known as a base, and vinegar is actually an acid. And when you add them together, you make carbon dioxide in this case. And that carbon dioxide is filling inside that pitcher there. And what he's going to do is he's going to pour it over top of the flames. And whenever carbon dioxide actually comes over a flame, it actually will put it out. So when you take a burning splint and you put it inside a test tube filled with carbon dioxide like we are in class, the flame will extinguish. What's interesting about this is that in your fire extinguisher, you actually use carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide. Next we have Mr. Williams, the YouTuber, and what he has here is he has a container, a test tube full of something called lime water, which is made up of a chemical called calcium hydroxide, and it's used to test the presence of CO2. So here what he's doing is he's adding hydrochloric acid to some baking soda again, and he's forming carbon dioxide inside a test tube. Now what he's doing is he's setting up a special apparatus to take the CO2 that's being produced, and it bubbles inside the lime water. And when this happens, you actually make the lime water, instead of being clear, we're going to notice that it turns a cloudy color. So he's mixing that carbon dioxide around, and he's going to bring it up, and he's going to show us that that clear solution is now cloudy, and this indicates the presence of carbon dioxide. Again, if we look here, we can see that we have another example where carbon dioxide puts out a flame. And again, that's it, another example of carbon dioxide's effect. The last test that we're going to talk about is for oxygen gas. Now, oxygen gas is interesting because remember, oxygen and gas is necessary for fire. So, what's interesting here is we're going to take a glowing splint. So we're going to burn a splint, we're going to blow it out, so it's still got some hot embers on the end there. And then we're going to put it in a test tube full of oxygen gas. And what will happen is the flame will actually reignite. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So we have a glowing splint going into a beaker full of oxygen, and the oxygen reignites the glowing splint. Okay, grade 9 students, what did you learn? Well, you just learned that, again, when you produce a gas, we can actually tell what type of gas you produce. If you want to find out it's hydrogen gas, you take a flaming splint, you put it into a test tube filled with a gas, it should pop. Now sometimes that flame will go out because there's going to be a loud explosion. If you want to test for oxygen gas, you take a flaming splint, you blow it out, and it'll be glowing, put it in the test tube. If the flame reignites, then you know that you have oxygen in there. Now, for carbon dioxide, there's actually 2 tests. We focus on one. If you take a flaming splint, put it in a test tube full of carbon dioxide, the flame will extinguish. If you collect some of that carbon dioxide, you put it in something called lime water, the lime water will become cloudy. That's it for today. See you tomorrow.